you've got a bet for us. It's Boise plus 11.5. The total in this game, 54.5, 55. How do you suggest we bet this game?
Well, again, I think this line should actually be a little higher. But because Boise was one of the teams that got a bye, because Penn State had to play, I actually make this line 14. Boise State, in my opinion, is probably a top 30 team. They're not a top 4 team in the country. They just happen to only lose to Oregon by 3 in game number 2 and then run the rest of the table. But when I look at the matchups in this game, they really do favor Penn State. You look at Penn State and the talk is James Franklin can't beat a top 10 opponent. And again, I don't consider Boise a top 10. If you look at their 2 losses, at home against Ohio State and in a neutral setting against Oregon, the reason they lost those games is they get exposed with talented outside players, fast running backs, fast wide receivers. Well, guess what? That is not Boise. Boise is going to pound it to you with Ashton Genty, 2,500 yards, 7.3 yards per carry. Maddox Matson, his YPA is on the low side. It's only 7.5. Drew Aller is 8.9. So there aren't a lot of long passes. And when you look at Boise State, they did hold Oregon to a season low 252 yards. Yes, they got up going to Oregon and playing there. But look at the other teams this year. 461 yards at Georgia Southern. They allowed 507 yards at home against Utah State. They allowed 483 yards at San Jose State. So originally I thought I liked the under in this game, but when I looked at the matchups, both favoring Penn State, my top opinion here would be Penn State team total over 33.5. You got to lay $1.15 with that. But the Nittany Lions do get it done today, and I think they get it done on the offensive side and able to shut down Boise, leaving them some short fields to score more points.
Well, Michael's joining us, everyone. One of the best handicappers around and an even better guy. You can find him at WagerTalk. He's an exclusive handicapper to us. Well, Texas and Arizona State. Now, what stands out to me is that 75% of the tickets have been written on the over in this game. It is 51. Arizona State is plus 12. It's pretty even on the spread. How do you bet this game?
Well, again, you have Arizona State, a team that is way overranked in the rankings. And then you could say, well, who has Texas beaten that was a quality team? You look at Texas against Clemson. They gave up 412 yards, but only 76 yards rushing. Why is that important? Again, while Boise may have the best running back, Scadaboo may actually be the better back, with 1,568 yards, 6.0 yards per carry against much tougher competition. Just FYI, if you look at Sagarin's strength of schedule, Boise played the number 89 schedule, so you have not been tested. Arizona State has been the ATS darling this year. They've gone 11-2 against the spread. Their losses at Texas Tech, 30-22. At Cincinnati, 24-14. The way Texas finished the season, I wasn't impressed in either of the Georgia games. They haven't played a wild schedule. Their offense is, though, top 10, averaging 97 yards per game more than their opponents allowed. Their defense is number 2, holding their opponents to 129 yards per game under what they allow. You look at Arizona State's averages, 41 on offense, 15 on defense. Still a quality team, but not the team that deserves to be here. Against Iowa State in the championship game, a 464 to 341 yard edge, but they were plus 3 turnovers. So what might have been their best win of the season, we have to put an asterisk around it, because if you're plus 3 turnovers, you're likely to win. I think it's about 85% of your games in college football. So that win isn't as good as they had. I like Texas, but I like Texas early here. When we get to the second half of these games, we're going to see new scenarios. We're going to see trick plays. We're going to see teams try to do things they haven't do. Give me Texas to prove they are a legitimate top 10 offense, top 10 defense, can handle this opponent. And remember, they just played here. So they're familiar with the setting. gives them a little bit of an advantage. Color me the Longhorns for this matchup on New Year's Day.
You're watching Wager Talk today, everyone, the best daily sports betting show ever. Ralph Michaels is joining us. We also have Ski Profit coming up with some NBA, Andy Lang with some prop bets. We're going to end the show with Gianni the Greek. If you guys like what you're hearing, take 1 split second out of your day, hit that thumbs up button. It would be greatly appreciated. So, Ralph, this last game between Oregon and Ohio State is a really fascinating game. I mean, the dog here at plus 2.5 Oregon, they're taking about 60% of the money. This is a team that hasn't lost all year, a team that has beat Ohio State already, and they're just not getting the love. How do you bet a game like this? And especially considering it's really hard to beat a team twice in a row or twice in the same season.
You know, if you're a favorite, that team wins about 63% of the time. They don't do as well covering. So, you know, it's not as much as you would think in college football, but it doesn't happen that often. You know, the NFL is a different story when we talk about a third win after beating an opponent twice. That is quite a unique scenario. So, you know, I look at this, and Prez, you said Oregon's undefeated, but that doesn't matter to me. I have Ohio State power rated as the best team, and while I can't match your generosity, Prez, giving out a free 5% play, Ohio State was an actual client release for mine, so I will give you that for free as well. So you're getting 2 client plays for free so far today. You go back to the Ohio State game when they visited Eugene, and you said Oregon won. But let's remember this. Ohio State was a 4.5-point favorite in that game. There were 7 lead changes. The game came down to a last-minute field goal. That game could have gone either way. If Ohio State had won that game, they probably would be a 6-point favorite. So if a game is that close, 7 lead changes, and comes down to a last-second play, I really don't give Ohio State a negative or Oregon a positive for winning that game because it is basically a coin flip game. There's no great play you made. There's no poor play you made. But, you know, when I do look at what Ohio State's done on defense, only one opponent has topped 275 yards against Ohio State, and that was that true road game in Eugene. Now they have a neutral setting. When you look at their defense, to me, it is the best defense in football, and it is a defense that's going to be able to slow Oregon down. I'm not going to say they shut them down. I'm going to say they slow them down. You look at Oregon's 2 worst performances on defense, 467 to Ohio State, and in their last game, they allowed Penn State in a neutral setting to get 518 yards. Better upside for the Ohio State defense, better upside for the Ohio State offense. These teams are elite as far as stat profiles go. Each team played 6 winning teams, but Ohio State does have slightly better edges on yards per game diff, points per game diff, and yards per play diff. If both teams play a great game, Ohio State wins by a touchdown plus. If both teams play even games and the turnovers are even, Ohio State wins the game. I believe Oregon's going to have a positive turnover situation to pull the upset. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm on Ohio State. My client's on Ohio State. And if you believe and want to follow, you'll be joining me on the Ohio State Buckeyes to beat Oregon New Year's Day. $5 play is on a bowl play. I had loaded the $5 play prior to loading the NHL play. Right. So I do have a college basketball, I do have an NBA, and I do have an NHL. If you want those 3 plays, make sure you jump in, buy my one-day all access for $39. But again, you're not going to pay $39. You're going to use Holiday 25. You can use that on a $9 play, a $5 play, a full season for $19.99, anything you want. This is one of the first times, Prez, that we've had absolutely no restrictions on your Fill Your Card special. Take advantage. End the New Year's with a huge savings, Holiday 25. And I'd like to thank all of you for watching this year. And I'd like to wish you and your families a very prosperous and safe New Year's holiday.